Meeting number 6 will now come to order. May I have the playing of the national anthem? Councilmember Mitch Brown, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. It is a true honor for me to welcome to council the new senior pastor-elect of Mount Olivet Baptist Church, my pastor, Dr. Eugene Gibson, to pray with council tonight.
Thank you so much, President Hardin, for having us, and blessings to all of you. Let us pray. I knelt to pray when day was done. I prayed, Lord, bless everyone. Remove from each saddened heart the pain, and let the sick be well again. Father of grace and mother of mercy, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the vision of Moses, Aaron, and Joshua, the Lord of Deborah, Vashti, and Esther. Thou who art the creator of justice and righteousness that Amos declared, and the author of the courageous faith of Harriet and Sojourner. You are the strength of Gandhi and Martin King and Rabbi Heschel, the power of Angela Davis and Huey P. Newton, God. You are the wisdom of John Brown and Frederick Douglass. We assemble tonight in your name just to say thank you. We thank you for the fact that it's in you that we live, we move, and have our being. Thank you, dear God, that you saw enough purpose in each of our lives to wake us up this morning and give us one more chance. We thank you, God, that you're not an absentee landlord, and that no matter how bad things get in this world, none of us could ever sue you for lack of child support. And God, it's because of that even in tough days like this, we say in the language of antiquity, much obliged. We thank you furthermore, oh God, that because we believe we can trust you, we believe that you are present and in and concerned about the lives of your people. In fact, God, the only reason we pray before this meeting tonight is that we believe that we can trust you even when we cannot trust ourselves. You love us all and you hold us all close to your heart. You are the God of the rich and the poor, the God of the educated and non. You love us when we are male or female, welfare or doing well. You love us, God, when we're straight or same gender loving, prisoner or free. You are the God of the blue life as well as the black and brown life. You love us all. And we thank you tonight that even in times that we cannot trust ourselves, we can trust you. We thank you, God, that you're concerned about the individuals, families, and churches, communities that are affected and effected by the global pandemic of COVID-19. And we pray for pastors and medical workers and others on the front line who are serving others, giving away sometimes the very grace they need themselves. Please touch. We pray for our governmental leadership of the nation, the state, the county, and most importantly in this moment, we pray for our city. Lord, bless Columbus. We pray for Mayor Ginther and the august responsibility assigned to his hand, but we even pray, God, for President Hardin and this gifted council and the even larger burden that they collectively bear. Bless them, oh God, to sacrifice the luxury of individual preference, that they might, through humility, find the pulse and will of the collective. Allow their service, God, to be unto you. no matter by what name they call you or even if they call you at all. You said that the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, which means that you rule and super rule. You have jurisdiction over every nation and every republic. While many worry about prime ministers, presidents, governors, mayors, and the like, we recognize you as sovereign. In fact, there's none like you in all of the earth. The heavens is full of your glory, and the earth is full of your handiwork. So we simply ask tonight, God of glory and God of mercy, that you would show yourself mighty and show yourself strong. In fact, we say, let God arise and the enemies be scattered, until the sick are healed and the poor are cared for, until the widow is served and the orphan is home, until the confused are at peace, the hungry are filled and the thirsty are quenched, until the crooked ways are made straight and the rough places are made plain, until fear is replaced by faith and discord by harmony, until the lowly are exalted and the exalted are brought down, until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. And God, until the glory of your name is revealed to us, in us, and through us. And it's in that name, the name that who loves us and gives life to us all, we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen, Pastor. And again, welcome to the city, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you, Clerk. This week's communication received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Okay.
Not this time.
Thank you. Are there any resolutions by council members, starting with President Pro Tem?
Thank you so much, President Harden. I do have a resolution tonight. I also have an announcement briefly that I will start with. The Urban Forestry Master Plan, public comment period for it is actually now open. So you can go to columbusufmp.org to view the draft plan and submit comments. Protecting and expanding our tree canopy in the coming years as Columbus continues to grow is critically important. A healthy canopy improves air quality, prevents erosion and storm runoff, reduces the urban heat island effect, lowers utility bills for residents, helps mitigate the impacts of climate change, and simply makes our city a healthier and more beautiful place to live. However, as the plan highlights, we have challenges that must be addressed in order to make a more robust tree canopy a reality here in Columbus. So please review the plan and submit your comments, columbusufmp.org. It will be open until March 26th. I will be hosting a virtual public hearing on Wednesday, March 24th, starting at 4 p.m. to review the plan. And the hearing can be viewed on the city's YouTube page or council's Facebook page. If you'd like to provide public comment during the hearing, please email my legislative assistant, James Carmean, JWCARMEAN @columbus.gov to sign up. And I also want to thank Councilmember Remy as chair of the Environment Committee. He's been incredibly supportive and has offered great contributions to this work, continues to. So thank you for your passion for it, Councilmember. I do have an official business, resolution 0023X-2021 to recognize February 22nd through 26th of 2021 as Public Schools Week in Columbus, Ohio. There are no two ways about it that this last year has been, on record, one of the most challenging for public education ever. Universal access to a high-quality public education is one of the most effective ways we can ensure equitable access to opportunity for every citizen in Columbus and across the United States. And it's been harder than ever in this last year, but that's why I'm pleased to present this resolution here tonight, recognizing Public Schools Week, because there couldn't be a better time to do it. Columbus has the distinction of being home to Columbus City Schools, the largest district in Ohio, serving almost 45,000 students each year, or excuse me, almost 50,000 students each year, more than 45. It takes the hard work and dedication of countless teachers Administrators, students, parents, and elected officials working together to help ensure our public education system is the best it can possibly be. From basic skills like reading, writing, and math, to sparking curiosity and a lifelong pursuit of knowledge and innovation, to helping prepare students for successful careers and creating a workforce that is prepared for the future, to encouraging students to be active and informed citizens capable of guiding our country through voting and civic engagement. Public education truly is a foundational building block of our society. And importantly, our schools are a focal point and gathering place for neighborhoods. They're on the front lines of supporting families in our community. During COVID-19, the importance of that support is clearer than ever. But the disruptions from the pandemic have highlighted the ongoing work that is needed to provide equitable, underline that word, equitable opportunities for every family and every child through our schools. Students who haven't been able to be in a classroom for almost a year and who continue to work in a hybrid learning model to protect public safety, these students need our support more than ever. It will take all of us together to meet this challenge, and I'm grateful to organizations like Public Education Partners and the Columbus Education Association for their work supporting our public education system each year, and especially now during this pandemic. So first, I'd like to turn things over for remarks to Maureen Reedy, who serves on the board of Public Education Partners. Ms. Reedy, are you on with us?
Ms. Reedy is there, but she's still muted. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yeah.
Hi.
Well, unprecedented is right. And good evening, Pro Tem Brown. I see your mom there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, hang on, let's self video to save bandwidth. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine, so you can go ahead and keep going if the video is on and off.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you great. Yep.
Okay. So, I've got my formal greetings to council members, to all of you who work so hard for the city we love and the residents we love. And I share your love for Columbus. I started Columbus City Schools as a 5-year-old at Fairmore Elementary. I marched through elementary school and went to junior high when Judge Duncan ordered desegregation for the schools in Columbus. And it was an incredible gift to me, to my classmates, to the families, and to the city of Columbus. I was lucky enough to have middle school, junior high, and high school in the most integrated school in the country, featured on 60 Minutes at that time. Our school, when you talk about it being, it's the heartbeat of the community, our public schools, the pulse of the community. It's a gathering place, a learning place. We take care of each other. We teach each other. Our students are our families. And we have seen an unprecedented year. But teachers, families, parents have all pitched in, and we've proven we're all partners in our public school communities. So I'm here tonight to accept the honor and thank you all for shining the light on Columbus Public Schools. I'm also here not only as a lifelong resident of Columbus, a student K through 12, but after 35 years of teaching, I went back to Columbus City Schools when I retired, and I became a substitute. So right now I substitute, except COVID, I substitute for a school in Linden where children who have been expelled come back to earn their right at this school. It's called Options for Success, to earn the right to go back to their home school after being expelled. So it's a very special school. The students there are, actually, I enjoy them very much. They're very bright. They're very energetic. They truly want to go back to their home school. They have that goal. they work hard, but I've been able to really see the layers and challenges that these kids and their families face. And so we're at a crossroads now, right? COVID has put us at a crossroads, but we've also seen the layers of our challenges unpeeled through COVID. The increased poverty, the trauma that kids deal with. When I went to school in the 70s, poverty was at about a 10% rate in our city of Columbus. Currently, we're hovering, families, about 50% of our families are at hovering around the poverty line or below poverty income. So public education is the cornerstone, the heartbeat of our communities, but we have to take care of our resources and look at how we're funding and how we're taking care of our public schools. So our group, Public Education Partners, we're die-hard advocates for our public schools. We have superintendents, we have school board members, we have active teachers, Toledo, Cincinnati on our board, we have grandparents, we have somebody who used to oversee the charter school division in the Ohio Department of Education. We have a really diverse group. And we are here along with you to partner together with all the challenges we face today. We're here today to celebrate our Columbus City school teachers. I've seen them in action. They are heroes. They greet these kids each day, whether it's virtually, hybrid, or in the buildings, and they meet them where they're at. They listen to them, they get them ready to learn, and they give it their all. But there are a lot of barriers to having kids ready to learn. And we need to all work together to ensure we address those barriers. And we currently are working our tails off seeing that House Bill 1 reintroduced to have fair funding for our public schools is finally passed, not only overwhelmingly by the House, but by the Senate. So that's number one. And I could go on and on. This truly is an honor. We've been before council before. We have celebrated our public schools at the State House each year. We have seen choice in Columbus schools, from Fort Hayes Poetry Slam performing at the State House to Indianola Arts and Dance Team dancing at the State House. We have had the Columbus Hearing Impaired program at Huey Elementary, having their hearing impaired students share their artwork and their poems. We've had Eakin Road Elementary on the west side, a elementary school full of very courageous immigrants and refugees coming together at their public school to share their work with us. So we can't celebrate at the State House this year, but we take this proclamation for Public Schools Week from all of you. I am representing Public Education Partners, but I'm also proud to represent, as a lifelong Columbus resident, as a Columbus City Schools graduate, and, just a passionate, dedicated Columbus resident, thanking all of you for your dedication, expertise, and passion in promoting and celebrating public education. Let's keep on keeping on together. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reedy, and for everything that Public Education Partners does. Next, we've got with us the president of the Columbus Education Association, Mr. John Coneglio. Are you on and unmuted?
Yes. Council President Hart and Pro Tem and Education Chair Brown, honorable city council members, on behalf of the more than 4,000 dedicated professionals of the Columbus Education Association, I would like to say thank you for today's resolution recognizing February 22nd to February 26, 2021 as Public Schools Week in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus City school educators are working harder than ever to retool and revamp how they teach and engage the youth of Columbus during this unprecedented pandemic. Their work is truly amazing. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it has taught us that the importance of in-person education. Day-to-day, in-person interactions between students and educators has so many positive correlations. It has taught us that schools are very important, not only to the learning, but to the social and emotional well-being of our students, and yes, their parents. Recent events remind us that public education needs to be the cornerstone of American democracy. Our country needs informed and active citizens. It's through public education our children learn about their rights, freedoms, to be critical thinkers, and how to deliberate and to reach a consensus. Public education is the vehicle by which Columbus children are exposed to different career paths and learn the work skills to be career ready after graduation. Public education encourages students to seek further education at the collegiate level. Public education is the instrument by which our children learn about diversity and the benefits of living in a multicultural society. In turn, this allows them to become well-adjusted, empathetic citizens. Furthermore, public education attracts highly qualified and dedicated professionals that give their best to the students every single day. And finally, public education welcomes all students, regardless of their race, color, creed, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. I would like to say thank you to City Council for this resolution and its ongoing commitment to our students in Columbus and public education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Coniglio. I really appreciate both of you being here to talk about public education. And you are so right that the importance is only magnified after the last year we've had, and we know how important public education is to our society, and also how much more we have to do to make sure it's of the highest quality and the highest equity. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Hearing none, I move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy Tyson, President Hart.
Adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and that's all I have, President Harden.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Councilmember Mitch Brown.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight, I have a resolution of expression 0025X2021 to recognize the service of Columbus firefighters to K Work, W-E-R-K. Whereas firefighters from Station 12 were dispatched to an injured in a call for service in the summer of 2020. As they arrived at the home, they realized they were at the home of K Work. K is widely known among Columbus firefighters. K was inducted into the Ohio State University College of Social Work Hall of Fame for her work helping to develop the division's critical incident stress management program, which formalized a team of peers to address the mental and emotional well-being of firefighters coping with trauma and stress. Whereas the responding firefighters found Kay wedged in her 5-by-7 foot bathroom where she had fallen out of her wheelchair. Kay suffered a stroke 10 years ago that significantly impacts her mobility. She requires the use of a motorized wheelchair to navigate her home. And whereas Kay recovered from a fracture suffered during her fall, Columbus firefighters, aided by donations from the Columbus Firefighter Foundation, the 2012 Columbus Fire Recruit class, and the local business renovated her home to make it more accessible. Kay's cramped bathroom was completely redesigned into a 9-by-15 foot ADA accessible space with lower countertops and roll-in shower. Whereas as she returned from her rehabilitation facility, Kay was greeted by a welcome party in blue firefighter uniforms led by Lieutenant George Wallace. The crews from Station 17 did the majority of the renovation, especially Rob Blunt, Rob Cooper, John Hagan, Chad Bear, Mike Hayden, John Capretta, Mark Maddox, Randy Porter, and retirees Rex Osborne and Dan Rainey and Rick Schlock. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby recognize the service of Columbus firefighters to Kay Work, who dedicated her career to supporting the mental and emotional well-being of Columbus firefighters and fire responders. This evening, we have Lieutenant George Wallace from the Division of Fire. Lieutenant Wallace, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Brown and all of City Council for recognizing Station 17 and all the help that went in. Many hands went into all the work to renovate Kay's home. It was a privilege to be able to help her. It's a privilege to work with the guys there on the west side. I mean, they're awesome. Nobody hesitated for a moment. Everybody just stepped right up. All the work was donated. All the materials were donated. And as you said before, we owe Kay so much for all she's done for Columbus Fire and Columbus Police over the years. And it's just been a privilege to be able to help her and make a difference. Thank you again.
Lieutenant, thank you. And I think it's significant, again, our seniors, when they fall, obviously it is one of the leading causes of death. So here we have an individual who had fallen, was injured. Our firefighters responded, not only did they take care of it for the call, but did the renovation for her home to make it more accessible. But that's what our firefighters do. So it's not a surprise to me. And please pass that along to all of those who participated.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
If there are no additional comments from my colleagues, I move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
That's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Doran.
Thank you, Council President Harden. No resolutions tonight. Just wanted to take a second to say thank you to the council clerk staff, especially Angie Burks, for the help they provided this past weekend as we got out the new tech equipment to all of our area commissions around Columbus. The funding the council approved was used to purchase laptops, projectors, and projector screens, displays, Microsoft Office for 19 of our area commissions that applied for this equipment. We know we needed this kind of technology even before the pandemic, and we know it's going to make a huge impact on their ability to continue to do their vital role as everything operates virtually these days. I want to thank Kevin McCain from my team as he stood outside City Hall for many hours this past week as we passed this equipment off in a safe and COVID-friendly manner. And I want to thank the commissioners who drove through to pick those up today. And as I said, the council clerk staff and Angie Burks really helped us quite a bit in making sure we got this equipment out and got it out the right way. So just want to take a moment to recognize them for their hard work in supporting our area commissions this past week. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Harden. No announcements from me this evening.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have two announcements this evening. The first is the City of Columbus is drafting a climate action plan to serve as a roadmap to meet the 2050 carbon neutrality goal. I want to share that the current draft is available for review and public comment now. The public comment period for this plan has been extended, and residents can now submit input through March 31st of 2021. You can find the plan and how to submit your comments on the city's website at www.columbus.gov/sustainable/CAP. Further, as chair of the Environment Committee, I will host a virtual public hearing on Tuesday, March 9th at 5 p.m. over the Climate Action Plan. We will have a presentation from the Sustainable Columbus team and invite residents to tune in to learn more about the plan and how you can get involved. If you would like, email Lucy Frank, my legislative assistant, at ljfrank@columbus.gov to submit public testimony for our Climate Action Plan public hearing. Also tonight, we'll be marking a very important night in the history of the city of Columbus. This evening, we will appoint 5 Columbus residents to serve as commissioners on the first ever Columbus Residential Districting Commission. These residents will be charged with an incredible task and will change the way in which members of Columbus City Council represent the residents of our city. Please stay tuned. We will vote to appoint these residents during the second reading portion of the agenda. Thank you so much, and that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Tyson.
Yes, thank you, President Harden, and I do have a couple of announcements to make this evening. The first is I do believe that Tiffany Cross is here from Columbus Public Health, and she is the Assistant Health Commissioner and Chief Nursing Officer at Columbus Public Health. And she wants to provide us with an update on how residents can get the vaccine. Tiffany, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. I'm proud to report that Columbus Public Health has vaccinated over 35,000 residents of Columbus and Worthington. We continue to operate our drive-through clinic at the Celeste Building at the Ohio State Fairgrounds. We operate our clinic 8 hours a day, Monday through Saturday. So community members who are 65 and plus or have a qualifying medical condition can call 614-645-1519 or check our website for registration information. In addition, Columbus Public Health piloted our first opportunity clinic last Thursday using our immunization clinic here right at Columbus Public Health. This specialty clinic is for those that are 65 plus or have a qualifying medical condition, but also live in one of our Celebrate One zip codes. We're going to continue this opportunity clinic moving forward each Friday from 1 to 4. We'll have one this Friday until March 24th when we move it to Wednesdays. So eligible community members interested in registering for this clinic can call 614-645-6444 or email health@columbus.gov to register. And then finally, one more thing I'd like to share. Columbus Public Health has launched a new text messaging system for Columbus and Worthington residents to get the latest information on COVID-19 vaccine availability for eligible groups. Community members can text VAXCBUS, VAXCBUS to 888-777 to sign up for vaccine updates. And then, of course, Columbus Public Health website and social media accounts will continue to be updated with the latest information on the vaccine as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. And I also wanted to say thank you that during this period that Columbus Public Health has certainly been innovative in trying to reach more individuals. So I do really appreciate your the work of Columbus Public Health. Again, Tiffany just mentioned the opportunity clinics that are at Columbus Public Health on Fridays, the beginning. The next one is Friday the 26th. And if you happen to live in 43203, 04, 05, 06, 07, 11, 19, 22, 23, 24, 27, 29, and 32. You can either email health@columbus.gov or again 614-645-6441. Again, this is still Black History Month, and this is the last council meeting that will have a Monday meeting for the month of February. And I just want to recognize Carol Simpson. And Carol Simpson was born December the 7th in 1940 in Chicago, and she is a trailblazing African-American journalist, news anchor, author, and the first African-American woman to anchor a major United States network newscast. She was also the first woman to broadcast radio news in Chicago, the first African-American woman to anchor a local newscast in Chicago, and the first African-American woman national network television correspondent, and the first woman or minority to moderate a presidential debate. Her career is a story of survival in a male-dominated profession that placed the highest premium on white males. She endured and conquered sex discrimination and racial prejudice to reach the top ranks of her profession while covering some of the most important news events over the 4 decades of her illustrious broadcasting career. She was a graduate of the University of Michigan. She began her career on the radio at WCFL in Chicago and was later hired at WBBB. And then she moved to Chicago's WMOQ and on to NBC News in 1975. She became the first African-American woman to anchor a news channel. She moderated the presidential debate between George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Ross Perot in Richmond, Virginia in 1992. She retired from ABC News in 2006 and taught journalism at Emerson College in Boston until 2019. She published her autobiography, News Lady, in 2010, revealing her triumphs, her network battle scars, and her fight against racism. When asked about her career, she said, I wasn't afraid to use my voice to speak out against things that were wrong. So again, Carol Simpson. The other announcement is regarding the zoning code survey. The City of Columbus has initiated a zoning code update process, and we need your input. We've heard from about 1,600 individuals, but we also want more individuals to provide input. As Columbus looks to the future, it is important that the zoning code be positioned to help manage growth, and reinforce community priorities. But there have been many revisions over the past years. The Columbus zoning code has not undergone a comprehensive update since the 1950s. So the first phase of this code update is an assessment of the current code and process. Phase 1 is currently underway and will conclude in the summer of 2021. The assessment will guide the code update, which will take place in phase 2 of the process. As a member of the community, your input is valuable in setting the stage for upcoming changes. For more information about the zoning code update, visit the project website, and we will, and that is www.columbus.gov zoning update. And the survey will be available through February the 28th of 2021. And lastly, the next episode of Black Girls Soar TV program will be broadcast on Tuesday, March 2nd at 8 p.m. The title of the third episode, It's Time to Delete Cyberbullying. And that's all I have. I mean, also, I will just mention that there are previous episodes can be found on YouTube by searching Black Girls Soar. That's all. Oh, the last announcement, I think I'll wait until we have the primary one will be on the agenda later this evening, and they can share their information about open enrollment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I cannot state how important that zoning redesign is, and would encourage folks who care about equity, care about transit, who care about housing to take part in it. So thank you so much. We look forward to being a part of that process. Over the weekend, this country hit a grim milestone where we have lost over 500,000 of Americans to COVID-19. It is important that we pause and we reflect that those were people's families members, and we continue to move forward. I am grateful. As I said, I like to do a report out now on how many vaccinations the City of Columbus has done. And to date now, I got a number 35,503. I'm looking at Ms. Tiffany, is that about right? Of vaccinations that we have been able to do in the City of Columbus. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, we are very grateful and continue to encourage folks that when it's your turn to take the vaccine, but even right now, make your vaccination plan. With that, are there any comments by our elected officials or members of the administration? All right. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive the reading of titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk?
So moved. Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on this evening's agenda for first reading?
Sure. Finance Committee ordinances 234, 272-2021. Recreation and Parks Committee ordinance 323-2021. Public Utilities Committee resolution 14X-2021. Ordinances 30, 104, 111, 127, 143, 148, 158, 163, 247, 285, 286, 312, 313, 341, and 356-2021. Economic Development Committee ordinances 273 and 374-2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Seeing no speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda, the following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent actions. Will the clerk now read those ordinance numbers into the record?
Resolutions of expression 31X, 32X, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30X-2021. Finance Committee ordinances 121, 206, 291, 340, 351, and 368-2021. Recreation and Parks Committee ordinances 73, 201, 214, 314, 315, 332-2021. Public Safety Committee ordinances 193, 293, 295, 298, 305, and 365-2021. Public Utilities Committee ordinances 106, 167, 168, 189, 225, 287, 300, 364, and 367-2021. Technology Committee ordinance 67-2021. Public Service and Transportation Committee Resolution 16X, 17X-2021, and ordinances 33, 217, 227, 228, 231, 278, 303, and 342-2021. Housing Committee ordinances 304, 306, 307, 308, 309, 310, 359-2021. Economic Development Committee ordinances 242, 251, 279, and 354-2021. Environment Committee ordinance 207-2021. Health and Human Services Committee ordinances 229, 238, 240, 241, 281, 282, 396, 397, 399, 400, and 427-2021. And one appointment from the Mayor's Office numbered A0012-2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any questions or comments on the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion for approval of these items designated as consent actions?
Move to approve by voice.
Right.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Yes, with the exception of 399-2021, on which I am abstaining.
President Hart?
Yes, ordinance are passed with the noted exceptions. We will now proceed with the second 30-day tabled and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before this council is the Finance Committee. That committee is chaired by Council President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight, we are starting with Ordinance 2502-2020 to make appropriations for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2021 for each of the several object classes for which the City of Columbus has to provide from the monies known to be in the treasury of said City of Columbus in the fund known as the General Fund during the said 12 months from the collection of all taxes and from other sources of revenue, the amount of $970,263,958, and to authorize an appropriation within the Basic City Services Fund, to authorize transfers from the Basic City Services Fund to the Reimagine Safety Fund and the Economic Stabilization Fund, to authorize transfers from the General Fund to the Job Growth Fund, Public Safety Initiatives Fund, and the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund, to authorize an appropriation within the Jobs Growth Fund, and to declare an emergency. We did table the budget at last hearing, so I'd first like to move to take it from the table.
Second.
Thank you. And then Council President.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Sorry.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hart.
Removed from the table.
Thank you. And then Council President, I believe you have an amendment. I will turn. No, actually, before I turn it over to you, I'd like to take, we have 3 speakers, if that's all right. So I will start with Miss Nana Watson.
Good evening, Council President Harden and members of council and Council Pro Tem Liz Brown. I want to speak on this, but I have a little challenge here. I would like to have seen the Office of Diversity and Inclusion's little subheading, because we are in support of this. And the NAACP continues to remain committed to the work of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the completion of the disparity study. Since the inception of the office, NAACP has come alongside the staff of ODI as a partner. We are committed to the inclusion of Black businesses in contracting and employment with the city. We are appreciative of the inclusion, I can't even say the word tonight, inclusion process implemented by ODI to provide input on the disparity study recommendations. And Demita staff, Demita Brown, they've always been there to listen to the NAACP's concerns as well as other members of the NAACP. I want to thank you for the opportunity. And again, if you could put a little subheading that it says D&I, because I think it's included in this budgeted amount.
Okay. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your work alongside the work of the NAACP and you individually alongside the city in those efforts. And of course, taking the time to be here virtually tonight, but there's a lot more work, more time put in outside of this tonight. So thank you. Next, we have Mr. Jerry Saunders. Mr. Saunders, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Great, we can hear you too.
And can you see me, I'm wondering?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
See here.
Yeah.
Trying to hit something so you can see me. I don't.
I'm sorry, Mr. Saunders, you've called in.
Uh-huh.
We do not have video.
Oh, we do not have video. Okay.
No.
All right. Then I'll go ahead from there. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak this evening, President Harden and the rest of the members. I am speaking in support of Ordinance 2502-2020 to research, create, and implement alternative crisis response models, in particularly when addressing mental health, substance abuse, homelessness, and being Black. My intent is not to minimize the need to address any of these concerns for our community. However, this evening, my intent is to make sure that we place a top priority pertaining to this Reimagined Public Safety Initiative, the welfare and safety of Black people when encountering our police and our entire criminal justice system. I'm not minimizing any of our other concerns. However, the issue of the inhumane and unfair treatment of Blacks by police and our entire criminal justice system has been scarcely addressed for decades. Since before the first police department was established in Boston in 1838, white majority communities have falsely accused, incarcerated, executed, and murdered Black people at a much higher percentage per capita than any other undeserving group of citizens. Columbus police officers not offering any assistance to Andre Hill as he lay dying after erroneously shooting him is just as inhumane, unacceptable, and the same as those officers kneeling on George Floyd, showing no concern for the welfare of a man as a fellow human being. I see the same inhumane treatment in the hunting down and killing of Casey Goodson Jr. by an officer of the Franklin County Sheriff's Department. Enough is enough. More often than not, officers involved in police shootings and shooting unarmed Black men state that they have been trained to respond in such manner when they believe their life is being threatened. Often officers are acquitted on that very premise. On January the 6th, 2021, in Washington, D.C., we witnessed many lives of officers and political officials were threatened, and majority of those officers that were threatened did not unholster their firearms. The question is why? I believe the answer is because they were white. And while I don't advocate anyone being shot or killed, I just can't imagine what it would be, or you can't imagine what it would have been like if the protesters were Black. It's unconditionally certain that we must change the way we are policing Blacks in these United States. I recommend that Columbus, Ohio, being the 14th largest metropolitan area in these United States, continue this reform/reimagining policing movement by investing an allocation of the Reimagining Public Safety funding to implement the United States Department of Justice 21st Century Policing Guidelines. In closing, I appreciate and thank you all for the yeoman effort that President Hardin and the members of the Kent City Council are exhibiting to reimagine public safety in Central Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Mr. Saunders. Next is Becky Walcott.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, President Hardin, Pro Tem Browning, members of council. My name is Becky Walcott, and I'm a resident of South Columbus. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again tonight. I want to talk about my opposition to delaying another training class for the Columbus Police Department. We residents of South Columbus have endured a shortage of police officers since the 2017-2018 announcement that we were understaffed by, I believe, 125 officers. When you live in large precincts like 13 and 20, as I do, you experience extremely long response times and no responses at all from the CPD. I want you to know that I absolutely am in favor of reimagining public safety. My community has been inundated with the opiate crisis, mental health victims, and the victims of petty theft, purse snatchings, aggressive panhandling. I've said this many times before. I'm going to say it again. We are shopping in Grove City, Groveport, Canal Winchester, because we're afraid to shop here. We love our new sidewalks. Sadly, they're not safe to walk on. We have now added the problem of four-wheelers to our community. We're watching our property be destroyed. We can't get an officer to respond. We can't get help. We are pleading tonight for more officers. We absolutely are in favor of addressing the other issues, and I certainly do not take those lightly. But I'm telling you, we are scared, we're afraid, and we love our city. And it's horrible that I'm sitting here tonight pleading for more officers because I'm afraid in my community, and I don't scare that easily. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Walcott, for taking the time to come to council and express your advocacy on this ordinance. Those are our three public speakers for 2502, and I'd like to turn it over to President Hardin, who has an amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the speakers, to Ms. Becky and Mr. Saunders, and to Ms. Nana Watson, President of the NAACP. Tonight, instead of voting on the three city fund budgets, we will be putting forward an amendment from the floor, retabling, and then voting on the budget next week. This is to amend General Fund Budget Ordinance 2502. This comes after a long debate on all our alternatives and our long-term city needs. And while I am not happy to wait another week, we must put the many interests of our city first. The budget is a $970 million plan that is balanced without tapping into our savings. It's a responsible, and it invests in critical neighborhood services, especially public safety. This budget invests in COVID recovery with $30 million committed for struggling families, small businesses, and our frontline city workers and departments helping to battle the virus. This budget also creates a $10 million fund to reimagine safety, to implement reforms to the Division of Police, and to hire neighborhood-level anti-violence teams. We need to fight for both justice and safety, and that's not always easy, especially when trust has been so shaken and violence is creating fear for too many families. While our efforts at reimagining safety will take time, this budget starts the Office of Inspector General and the Civilian Review Commission. It invests in my #1 priority, which is to start an alternative crisis response operation. Mayor Ginther laid the groundwork with 20 public health positions to help us make sure that calls from residents in need get the right response. Cities ask police officers to do too much for too long. And this is a start to build a comprehensive, research-based system of response that integrates national best practices and expands on what we already do well with the REACT anti-addiction team, the Mobile Crisis Response Unit, and our SPARK team. I'm proud of this full budget, but it was not put together without a tough debate, even through this afternoon. And we must make an amendment to get the votes needed for passage. I've been on the phone for countless hours with the mayor, with council members, Police Chief Woods, as well as neighborhood leaders, pastors, and residents. I and most of my members believe that we should pause the hiring of new police officers until the Division of Police and Academy make improvements, until we have a chief of police, and until the research audit that we paid for is finished. But some of our members and the mayor disagree, and over the weekend we hit an impasse. We need 6 votes to pass the budget. I've explored compromises, I've proposed alternatives, but the budget will not pass in its current form. To continue fighting over $2.5 million in a $1 billion budget would delay all progress, programs, spending, and even paying phone bills for weeks, if not months, a month. Tonight alone are 19 ordinances that can't go into effect until the budget is passed. This includes the search for the new police chief, public health dollars to fight COVID, and funding to keep young folks off the streets. To let the full budget move forward, we are proposing an amendment from the floor. It creates the Reimagining Safety Fund as before, but no longer takes the fund from the Division of Police. This means council will not oppose the June police recruit class. I'm not willing to sink the entire budget over this effort. I've listened carefully to Councilmember Mitch Brown and the years of work he put in with Columbus Division of Police to improve recruiting and training. I believe in his commitment to seek the most diverse recruit class in decades. So tonight, we are introducing the amendment per the rules of council, and it will then be tabled. But it will reinstate funding for the police class so that we can move forward with the budget, the entire budget, next week. The rest of the budget contains so many critical programs that need to be implemented immediately. We have support here on council to continue important safety changes, to hire a more diverse police academy staff, to add diversity and bias training to recruit curriculum, and to look at an ongoing training for our officers, to continue to work on civil service reform, to find and hire a new police chief. We have so much work to do, and with that, I am turning the floor back over to Council Member or Chair Brown. We have so much work to do, and I introduce this ordinance.
Thank you, Council President. I apologize for my situation, but I would like to open it up for any other of my colleagues to provide comment if they'd like before I call for a vote on the amendment offered by President Harden.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. I have a few remarks I'd like to share at this time. So since last summer, this body has been challenged with addressing systemic issues within our police department. We've made gradual changes and recommendations the past several months, including implementing a ban on hate group affiliation, which I spearheaded back in July. But we all know that we still have a lot of very important work to do. I have stated this before and I reaffirm today that we must take a drastic approach to reform within Columbus policing to adequately protect and serve all of our residents. Business as usual is not the answer. I understand that the option to delay the next recruit class is a difficult course of action for some, but I challenge us to truly consider whether or not more police officers on our streets equates to safer communities. Black and brown communities in Columbus do not feel safe, and we must rethink how we protect and serve some of the most vulnerable in our city. Over-policing, in my opinion, is not the answer, but reinvesting in our basic community needs is an important effort on this road to reform. We know that we need to see better progress in housing, employment, health, education, if we want to ensure the ultimate safety and preservation of our communities. It is possible for us to make better investments in our community and also rethink how we do policing in Columbus at the same time. I am disappointed in the decision to continue with the next recruit class. I continue to believe it is premature considering the police department is currently undergoing major events, including negotiating a new contract with the FOP, implementing the Civilian Review Board and selecting a Inspector General, and still grappling with the loss of 2 unarmed Black men in our community who died at the hands of law enforcement, Mr. Casey Goodson Jr. and Andre Hill. Again, I am disappointed in our body's inability to agree on this very important matter. Our residents are asking us for change, and as leaders, we have a responsibility to help deliver it. By committing to the full process of reassessing our hiring and training process, we help ensure that the next round of candidates is fully aware of our expectations and of the community's expectations. My commitment to police reform is not over. I understand the importance of passing this budget for 2021, but I will continue my efforts to seek the real change we all want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Favor. Are there any other comments from my colleagues?
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, Councilmember Tyson.
Yes, I will certainly make a comment now. Excuse me. Wait 1 second, I'm sorry, I'll pull up the. So let me just, sorry that, sorry, let me just, here we go. And so I also want to make just a few points as we go through this. And so, as we consider the operating budget, I want to provide just a little context about the delay of a 2021 police class and the discussion that we had over a discussion around this. And certainly I've been in many discussions since a week ago Wednesday regarding this amendment. And so when we revisited the conversations about reimagining public safety, I was clear that my focus would be addressing racism within the police department. We have seen the evidence of racism with CPD, with financial settlements this council has voted on, and matters that have been brought to our attention. However, this police class will not improve the racism in the department. In fact, this June class would be the most diverse class of recruits that we've seen, with 51% within the band 1 of diversity. The first round of 105 candidates moving through this recruitment process consists of 25% Black candidates, which is the highest it's ever been. There are 23 Black men and 3 Black women. And one of our number one concerns is to bring in a diverse group of people to the city of Columbus. That is something that has been asked for by our residents. I've supported every reimagining public safety policy that this council has introduced, including placing a measure on the November ballot for the Civilian Review Board, limiting no-knock raids, demilitarizing the division through the purchasing code, and instituting background checks for the hate group affiliation. And all these are things that my colleagues have worked on. I also want to be very clear about the issue with police community relations, and more importantly, ensuring that Black people are not targeted or at risk of losing their lives due to the racial bias of law enforcement officers. Black people being murdered by law enforcement officers, it's not okay. And I unequivocally stand against the atrocities that happen against Black people. However, delaying the class will not solve that issue because this class has already been in play since November of 2020. This class also, delaying this class compromises the safety of our community. And I know that everyone does not feel safe, but compromising this class in terms, and when you think about what's important in terms of us saying that we want a diverse group of people in the class, this is it. There are 90 officers projected to leave the department this year. The division will be replacing separated officers with new officers at a 1-for-1 rate. By not seating a class in June, it was anticipated that the division will be operating with a deficit of 45 officers in 2022. And so resulting in less presence within the community, which I know for some, it's fine to have less. And I'm not trying to say over-policing is the answer, but I also know that you already have people who are in play to be in this class, ready to go, who already have been telling their families are in the class, and it is diverse. So, there is an uptick in crime. Would this class help the uptick in crime? Not this year, but if you have officers leaving next year, we want to have officers who are already in play to be able to continue to make sure that we have people in place to be able to help to keep our community safe. And again, I hear that everyone doesn't feel safe with the police, but we need to make sure that we have officers here to be able to respond to crimes that also affect people of color. I also want to speak to reason that that this class, through this process, they're already in process, the audit process, as I'm looking forward to getting the results in November. I also know that in November, once we get the information, it takes 6 to 10 months for even implementation of that class. So again, stopping this class doesn't change what's happening with when the audit comes back. And I also want to thank also the residents who called our office and emailed us and heard from residents in favor of delaying the class and those who fear for their safety if the class is effectively canceled, like we heard tonight. So we've heard from everybody in regards to this. And so in the June class, if it were canceled, there are a large number of Black and female candidates would have to move on to other employment that they cannot financially afford to wait. So for me, it was important to at least do all the research that I possibly could to get a good understanding of what the delay of a class would mean for our residents. And again, I'm in consideration of 105 people that are already in process. What would it mean for them also? So just those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. I don't know if there are other council members who want to speak on the amendment. My procedure was unclear, and I do have to turn it back to the council president to call for the vote. And before I do that, I did want to just, say how disappointed I am today that we're having to pit $2.5 million against the rest of the $1 billion budget to get this budget passed. We made a commitment to the residents of Columbus that we would do everything we could to understand where racism exists in the department and to address it. And I think that the amendment that the council president put forth did enormous effort on and deserves a great deal of credit for the solution that he offered week before last. I think that amendment helped to do that because
It said, let's take a pause. Instead of continuing to do things the way we've always done them, let's take a pause and understand this audit and understand how to do better, because we know better, right? What's the saying? When you know better, you do better. I really appreciate that, and I really believe that that was the right course for this budget. This vote here tonight, this amendment, is essentially needed in order to make sure the budget goes forward in an emergency fashion. There are critical resources to get onto the streets in Columbus, whether that's violence intervention efforts, whether it's direct aid to families during a pandemic. There are critical things this budget funds, and we can't hold it up, which is why I intend to support the amendment tonight. But I'm really disappointed we're in this position. And I am committed to now doing more over the months and years ahead to make sure the Division of Police truly serves everyone, and that the only solution to violence in our community is not defined as the ratio of officers to number of people. There are more things that we can be doing, and we've got to think globally, we've got to think broadly, and not get stuck in this former way of thinking that it's just that ratio that matters, and we can't lose on that rat race, or we're going to lose something. I think we can do better by doing differently. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Council President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. I appreciate this is the debate that we've been having for weeks, but it's time for us to move forward together. We only hurt our city if we delay reforms and COVID recovery to debate a recruit class. I believe that we all believe in reform, even if we disagree in the tactics. But it's in the best interest of Columbus that we amend the budget tonight. And so I will now introduce an amendment from the floor. This amendment transfers $10 million from the Basic City Services Fund into the Reimagining Safety Fund and transfers $2.5 million to public safety budget. As I said before, I don't like this amendment, but this is the way that we can get an operating budget and deliver the critical services that residents need right now. I move to amend and submit it to the clerk.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Ordinance is passed. Because the charter prevents council from amending the budget at the same meeting it is voted on, we will vote on this budget on March 1st. I'll turn it back over to Chair Brown.
Thank you, Council President. I will officially move to table. I think I need to officially move to table to March 1st. Is that right, Clerk?
Yes, please.
Move to table to March 1st.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
The budget is tabled.
Thank you. We have two other ordinances that contain budget provisions, and I will be moving to table those till March 1st as well. I will read their titles now, and then we will consider the full package. Ordinance 2503-2020 to make appropriations and transfers for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2021 for other funds for various divisions, to authorize the city auditor to make transfers as may be necessary and to declare an emergency. I move to first take this from the table.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Remove from the table.
And then I move to table to March 1st.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Table to the first.
Next is ordinance 2504-2020 to make appropriations for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2021 for selected other funds for various divisions, to authorize the city auditor to make transfers as may be necessary and to declare an emergency. I first move to take 2504 from the table.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Remove from the table.
I move to table until March 1st.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Table to the first.
Thank you. I'd now like to move to Recreation and Parks. That's all right.
Please.
Ordinance 74-2021 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with George J. Eigel and Company Incorporated for the construction of Confluence Village Park, to authorize the expenditure of $1,222,200.73 from the Rec and Parks Voted Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Confluence Village Park will convert a former asphalt parking lot into a vibrant 3-acre riverfront park with access to kayaks, bikes, and walking paths on a downtown stretch of the Olentangy River. More than 2 million people visit the Arena District each year, and this park will encourage even more visitors by providing an entry point to the district from the Olentangy Trail and a real unique experience in our city. The Olentangy Trail is one of our most used trails in all of Central Ohio. The project is anticipated to start February 21, with work substantially complete by September of this year. The contract was competitively bid, and after review of 4 submissions, was determined that George Eigel Company was the lowest, most responsive bidder. Emergency actions being considered, so the work can start and be completed during the same timeline as other major projects in the area, including the bridge connecting the park to the trail. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Hearing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next 2 ordinances in Rec and Parks are contracts to continue the work of the Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen an increase in violence in our neighborhoods, especially among youth and young adults. One of the city's primary programs to address and reduce this violence is through the work of the city's violence intervention specialists within the Recreation and Park Department's APS program. The specialists are engaged in violence intervention work year-round. However, we also enter into contracts with Community for New Directions and the Columbus Urban League to expand the reach of this work as far as possible through their own violence intervention specialists. The terms of these contracts include responding to specific violent confrontations, working to mediate and diffuse conflicts, and actively promoting peace building among youth in Columbus. This includes maintaining a 24/7 schedule to respond to calls regarding confrontations, such as shootings or aggravated assaults, homicides, other violent incidents. Supports are also provided to the family and friends of victims, which supplements the work of the city's CARE Coalition. Emergency action is requested for these ordinances so the Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program can continue without interruption. Bid waivers are being utilized to maintain the established relationships and trust built by these programs over the last 7 years in the community. I will pause here for any questions or comments from colleagues, and otherwise directly go into reading the titles. All right, hearing none. Ordinance 324-2021 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with Community for New Directions for services related to the implementation of the 2021 Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program, to authorize the expenditure of $329,500 from the Rec and Parks Operating Fund 2285, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Code and declare an emergency. I would like to move for passage, I believe by voice has been requested.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll. By voice.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Oh, no, I'm abstaining.
President Harden?
Yes, ordinance passed.
Thank you. Next is 325-2021 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with Columbus Urban League for services related to the implementation of the 2021 Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program, to authorize the expenditure of $329,500 from the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund 2285 to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code and to declare an emergency. I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Council President, for dealing with my circumstances. She was very crabby when everyone else was talking, and the moving was the only way I could get through that. So I do apologize if it was destabilizing to people, but thank you.
Councilmember Dorns and President Pro Tem, we are getting a jump start on expanding the size of council, but that's all right. The next committee that come before council is the, is it the Safety Committee? I'm looking.
Public Utilities.
Utilities, sir.
We're skipping Chairman Brown, going to Councilmember Dorn. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. At minimum, we'll be starting a council daycare here soon enough for us all. So, thank you. First, in the Public Utilities Committee, I have ordinance number 0129-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to modify and increase the contract for the purchase of wholesale electric power and ancillary services with American Municipal Power, Inc. for the Division of Power, and to authorize the expenditure of $55,137,000 from the Electricity Operating Fund. The Division of Power establishes long-term agreements for purchasing power through energy suppliers based on favorable market conditions. In 2015, the division issued an RFP to secure partial requirements for service for January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2023. In this RFP, the division also requested proposals for the addition of green power component that would serve 5%, 10%, and 20% of the division's needs with qualified resources. American Municipal Power provided the division with the best overall pricing that included a 20% green component and therefore was selected as the supplier. The fund authorized by this ordinance will cover the cost of the power supply as well as additional services such as diesel generator maintenance, representation on federal power issues, staff training, and customer development services. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance number 0131-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into construction contract with Granite Inliner, LLC, for the mainline living near South Blueprint area project to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $6,271,333.20 to some of the sanitary sewer reserve fund, development loan fund, to authorize the appropriation of expenditure of $6,071,333.20 in the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,000 per wage services, the Department of Public Service, and within the sanitary general obligation voted bond fund, and to amend the 2020 capital improvement budget. This project will rehabilitate existing sanitary sewers within the Blueprint near south area, minimizing infiltration of the city's sanitary system while reducing sewer overflows to basements and waterways in the area. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments before I move for passage? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Second.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. And finally, I have ordinance number 0297-2021 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance and with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreement for the purchase of Centrex and data services with AT&T for the Division of Power, the Division of Water, and the Division of Sewer and Drainage, and to authorize the expenditure of $450,000 from the Electricity Operating Fund. $630,000 from the Water Operating Fund and $102,400 from the Sewer Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Centrex and data services being purchased are essential for the Department of Public Utilities Communication for daily operations of the Division of Power, the Division of Water, and the Division of Sewers and Drains. This ordinance being submitted as emergency to provide for the timely payment of bills to ensure there will not be any interruption of services. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committees, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is 6:31, so we will take a pause. If we can do 5 minutes, and then we'll come back for zoning. May I get a motion to
Recess. Recess.
Recess.
This meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is recessed. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
like everyone has returned. Now, cameras aren't on, so. We've got Councilmember Brown and Mimi.
Meeting to order, regular meeting number 7 to order. Can the clerk please call the roll?
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Is there
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking for council on variances and zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side. And we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the city attorney's office, anyone who wishes to speak for or against any council variance, including staff, must be sworn in prior to giving testimony. We do so prior to beginning the reading of each variance on the agenda. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. So, thank you. It is variance number it's ordinance number 215-2021 to grant a variance for the provisions of sections 3332.035 R3 residential district, 3332.05 area district lot width requirements, 3332.25 maximum side yards required, and 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 985 Bryden Road to permit a 2-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district, and to repeal ordinance number 221-2019, which was passed January 31st of 2019. The applicant is Marbury, care of Dave Perry. The proposed use is a 2-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Near East Area Commission's recommendation was 11-0. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Wait.
Thank you. And now I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 316-2021 to rezone 1572 McNaughton Road, being 10.54 acres located on the east side of McNaughton Road, 1,500 feet north of East Livingston Avenue, from the R1 residential district to the LARLD limited apartment residential district. The applicant is Metro Development, care of Attorney Jeff Brown. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Far East Area Commission's recommendation is approval 6-0. If there are no questions or comments, I first move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Waive.
Thank you. Now move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Amended.
And thank you. Now move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Thank you. Ordinance 317-2021 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 33.18 building lines of the Columbus City Code for property located at 1572 McNaughton Road to permit a reduced building line for an apartment complex in the ARLD Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Metro Development, LLC, care of Attorney Jeff Brown. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Far East Area Commission's recommendation is approval 6-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Wait.
Thank you. Thank you. Now move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Thank you. Okay. It's ordinance 334-2021 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.037 R2F Residential District, 3332.14 R2F Area District Requirements, and 3332.21 D2 Building Line, 3332.25 Maximum Side Yards Required, excuse me, 3332.26 F minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard of the Columbus City Code for property located at 424 Jackson Street to permit a 4-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R2F Residential District. The applicant is LGR Investments LLC, care of Attorney David Hodge. I'm sorry. The proposed use is a 4-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Columbus Southside Area Commission's recommendation is approval 11-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Waive.
Thank you. Now I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 344-2021 to amend ordinance number 2409-2020 passed November the 9th of 2020 for the property located at 610 Neal Avenue to repeal the section 2 and replace the new section 2, thereby reflecting the correct square footage of the uses in the building council variance, and the additional square footage is 22,073. The applicant is Cindy Lee Parker, and it's an ordinance amendment. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and Victorian Village Commission's recommendation is also approval 5-0. So if there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Waived.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. I have now ordinance 348-2021 to rezone 7488 Lee Road, being 2.71 acres located on the east side of Lee Road, 490 feet north of Kaluta Drive from R Rural District to SR Suburban Residential District. The applicant is Benjamin Sims. His agent is Denise Dayani. The proposed use is a single unit dwelling development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. The Rocky Fork Black Lick Accord Implementation Panel's recommendation is approval 8-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to amend to emergency.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you, and now move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. That concludes the zoning agenda this evening.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
The meeting is adjourned. When we get President Pro Tem back, we will jump right into back into regular meeting number 6. There we go. I think we're ready. Can I have a motion to reconvene regular meeting number 6?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
We are in regular meeting 6. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Tonight in Public Service and Transportation, we have Ordinance 140-2021 to amend the 2020 capital improvements budget to transfer cash and appropriation within the Water General Obligations Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the Federal Transportation Grant Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Kokosing Construction Company for the resurfacing West Broad Urban Paving Project, to authorize the expenditure of funds from the Federal Transportation Grants Fund, the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, and the Water General Obligations Bond Fund for the project and to declare an emergency. This project consists of repairing and resurfacing West Broad Street from west of Guilford Avenue to Sterling Avenue. The work is expected to begin April 2021 with an estimated completion date of November 2021. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I will move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Council President, may I move on to housing?
Please.
Tonight in housing, we have 408-2021 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a nonprofit service agreement with the Impact Community Action Agency in an amount of $10 million to provide rental and utility assistance as defined by the U.S. Treasury to qualifying residents of the local community. To authorize the Director of Development to modify the scope of services of the agreement as needed without seeking further City Council approval, to authorize payment of expenses starting March 1st, 2020, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance allows the city to begin deploying the next round of rental assistance dollars. Impact has successfully deployed $10.8 million in Columbus CARES Act funding to our community, providing rental, mortgage, and utility assistance to our residents through the HOPE Fund. They have worked with partners through the Housing Stabilization Coalition to coordinate the deployment of a total of $16 million to Franklin County residents, serving approximately 7,200 families through the end of 2020. I believe tonight we are joined by Mr. Bo Chilton, the director over at Impact. Mr. Chilton?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. To President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, Chairwoman Baker, and other members of council, thank you for your strong support and leadership to prevent homelessness in our community. The economic collapse sparked by COVID-19 pandemic triggered the most unequal recession in modern U.S. history, delivering a mild setback for those at or near the top and a depression-like blow for those at the bottom, according to a Washington Post analysis of job losses across the income spectrum. Recessions often hit poorer households harder, but this one is doing so at a scale that is worse in generations, according to the analysis. I want to thank Mayor Ginther and House Chair and Councilwoman Favor and the members of council for your early investment in the HOPE Fund. Your leadership was critically important to our community's efforts to address both the public health and economic crisis brought on by COVID-19. Because of your support and partnership, along with partnering agencies who make up the Housing Stabilization Coalition, we were able to keep over 7,200 households safe at home and avoided overwhelming our shelter system and furthering the potential spread of the coronavirus. Collectively, we served over 7,200 households between June 1st and present day. We spent an average of $2,700 per household and spent almost $18 million total. I cannot say enough about how our community has rallied together to truly support those who are in great need. Just to provide some context, in 2019, Impact served 200 households and spent about $300,000 in rent and mortgage assistance. In the last 6 months of 2020, our staff and partners worked hard, putting their own health and safety at risk to serve the community, and were successful in serving over 5,000 people in that 6 months, getting over $15 million out the door between June and December. We did our part to try and protect the community, and while it was not perfect, we've been working really hard on making our process more effective and more efficient. The investment of your $10 million coupled with other investments that we're going to have in additional CARES Act funding is going to really help our community help stabilize through this crisis. And so we're looking forward to working with council, the other partners who are part of the Housing Stabilization Coalition to continue to serve our community. The one thing I do want to make sure that the community is aware of is that we are in the process of getting this program back up and funding people, but we are awaiting the additional dollars that we plan to receive by March 1st and then begin getting checks out the door to help keep families safe in their homes. Thank you again, council, for your support, and we will continue to make sure that people stay safe in their homes.
Thank you, Mr. Chilton. We truly do appreciate your partnership and this effort and all of the work that the HOPE, all of the entities that are a part of the HOPE Collaborative have done to ensure that our residents stay housed during this pandemic. Director Stevens, would you like to make any comments or perhaps even talk a little bit about the change in the rules this year that allow landlords to apply for assistance?
Yes, thank you, President Hardin, Chair Favor, members of council. As Chair Favor mentioned, the rules with this funding are a little different than some of the rental assistance dollars we provided over the past year. Landlords can submit an application to get reimbursed for the costs that they're owed from their tenants that are not only delinquent, but those tenants who have been impacted by the pandemic can get rent payments for up to a year going forward. So instead of getting to a delinquent situation, rent payments can be made. So there's a couple key changes in the program this year. I'd also point out that we received $26 million in rental assistance funds from the federal government at the beginning of 2021. This is the first half, a good portion of the first half of those dollars. We are working with the community to ensure that the second half is being provided into members of the community that might not use some of our traditional methods of getting them those dollars. So we are looking at other partners. Impact has been a fantastic partner, and we want to make sure we're able to provide these dollars to all our residents.
Thank you, Director Stevens. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'll move for passage.
By voice.
By voice, my apologies.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Abstain?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance?
Yes.
Ms. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Yes.
President Hart?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Economic Development Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is.
Thank you so much, Council President Hardin. I have one item in the Economic Development Committee this evening. It's ordinance number 154-2021 to authorize the Director of Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with T. Marzetti Company for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a proposed capital investment of approximately $5,400,000 in real property improvement retention of 104 full-time jobs with an annual payroll of approximately $5,742,374, and the creation of 20 net new full-time permanent positions with an associated annual payroll of approximately $900,000. Marzetti's is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Lancaster Colony Corporation, the parent company. Marzetti produces numerous salad dressings, fruit and vegetable dips, frozen baked goods, and specialty brand items. It is the largest food and beverage company headquartered in Central Ohio. In 1896, Teresa Marzetti arrived in Columbus, Ohio from Florence, Italy, and opened her small Italian restaurant. Marzetti's restaurant grew from a local favorite into a four-star restaurant known for its salad dressings. By 1955, this upstairs kitchen of the restaurant became a full-scale factory, and Marzetti dressings could be found in grocery stores throughout Ohio. In 1969, Lancaster Colony Corporation purchased Marzetti. Lancaster Colony Corporation is a manufacturer and marketer of specialty food products for the retail and food service markets. The company's top brands include Marzetti, New York Brand Bakery, Sister Schubert's, and Flat Out. Marzetti is proposing to invest a total project cost of approximately $18 million, which includes $5.4 million in real property improvements, $2.6 million in improvements to its existing facility, and $10 million in machinery and equipment to expand its current manufacturing facility by 17,000 square foot at 1709 Frank Road in Columbus. With this expansion, Marzetti will be able to accommodate 3 new packaging lines and renovate interior portions of its existing facility. The expansion would also address fire protection, stormwater detention, parking, truck dock doors, shipping area improvements, ingredient and material storage, utility support, and upgrades. Additionally, Marzetti will retain the 104 full-time jobs, as previously mentioned, and create 20 new net full-time positions. Marzetti's has requested an enterprise zone tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years on the real property improvements to assist in proposed expansion project. The Southwestern School District has been advised of this project, and tonight we do have one speaker on this ordinance. It's Mr. Joe Motil. Welcome back, Mr. Motil. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and any associated organization you may be associated with. Miss Angie, is Mr. Motil on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. President Hardin, Pro Tem Brown, members of City Council, Joe Motil, 167 West Cook Road, Columbus, Ohio. T. Marzetti's has been in business for 125 years, and Lancaster Colony has owned Marzetti's now for 52 years. Marzetti's is headquartered here in Columbus, along with 5 of its company's operations, and it has 2 additional ones that are also located here in Ohio. Besides the Marzetti name, other products such as Reams and in-made noodles, George dressing, and New York bakery goods, such as their garlic toast, are universally recognized brand names by consumers. As a 51-year resident of Clintonville, I'm very familiar with Marzetti's production facility on Indianola Avenue, and I've even worked for a short period of time on a small expansion project there many years ago. And I'm personally pleased to see such manufacturing operations that are still located in the heart of my neighborhood and other neighborhoods throughout Columbus, which provide good jobs for the middle class, and such facilities are easily accessible by bus or vehicle. The Columbus Partnership member, Lancaster Colony, which owns Marzetti's, recently built a brand new multi-million-dollar 45,000 square foot research and development center in nearby Lewis Center without any local tax abatements or tax incentives. In 2020, Lancaster Colony reported annual revenues of $1.3 billion and a gross profit of $358 million. Lancaster Colony fits into the same category as corporations that City Council has handed out tax abatements and income tax incentives to, such as UPS, Big Lots, Alliance Data Systems, Huntington Bank, Ball Corporation, Root Insurance, AEP, Nationwide Insurance, Abbott Labs, Worthington Industry, and Cover My Meds. All that are sitting on a mountain of cash to continue to loot the public of the means to obtain social and economic stability. And in the case of Lancaster Colony, they, Mayor Ginther and Director Stevens, would once again have you believe that it is necessary for this company to be given a property tax abatement of $9,278 a month for the next 2 years for the sole purpose of investing into their company to make more money, as if there is a risk involved. Successful companies like Lancaster Colony and the others that I mentioned earlier grow and expand during their existence to maintain and increase their profitability. And as we all know, this is a common business practice, and they have been expanding for decades and make tons of money without the need of tax abatements. Myself and thousands of others in Columbus are sick and tired of hearing how corporate leaders, Mayor Ginther and this city council, talk about the need to address poverty, affordable housing, evictions, ending racism, creating equitable opportunities through public education, foreclosures, the homeless, healthcare, and other social and economic disparities, yet y'all continue to ignore the one obvious and one of the most detrimental contributing factors, and that being the continuation of years and years of your blanket tax abatement policies to filthy rich, favored corporations and luxury real estate developers. Stop listening to the bad advice of the mayor, his administration, and greedy capitalists and developers, and put an end to granting these unnecessary, crippling tax abatements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Motel. Director Stevens, I'll throw it over to you. Do you have any comments about the speaker or any comments you'd like to make about this particular piece of legislation?
Thank you, President Hardin, Chair Ramey, members of council. We worked with this company to move forward this strategic investment to encourage the retention of 104 full-time jobs as well as the creation of 20 new jobs. It's important that we get the $18 million in new investment here in the Columbus area as we are competing with Horse Cave, Kentucky and Martinsburg, West Virginia as two viable options to make this investment and expansion for the company. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Stevens. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments in regards to this ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Ramey, Tyson. President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you, thank you, Clerk, and thank you, Council President. With your permission, may I proceed to the appointments of the Rules and Reference Committee?
Please.
Thank you. Tonight, we are appointing the commissioners to the Council Residential Districting Commission. I want to take some time now to share the work done thus far. In 2018, Columbus residents passed a charter amendment to enhance neighborhood advocacy and amplify community voices inside City Hall. The vote added 2 council seats to bring the total number to 9 while establishing residential districts for each seat. As part of this effort, a 5-member Council Residential Districting Commission will be appointed tonight and will spend this year hosting community meetings, gathering feedback, and producing 3 maps that will be submitted to Council. Council will be required to approve one of these maps without making any changes by the end of 2021. Applications to serve on the commission opened on December 15th, 2020, and were due Thursday, January 21st, 2021. We received a total of 123 applications. On February 5th, we announced a short list of 15 candidates who were invited to a virtual public hearing on Wednesday, February 10th to provide a 3-minute synopsis on why they wish to serve on the commission. All 15 finalists spoke eloquently and passionately about why they wish to serve the Council Residential Districting Commission. It was difficult narrowing down this list of highly qualified and passionate finalists, and Columbus City Council will vote tonight to appoint the following people to the commission: Jeff Cabot, Monica Sarazuela, J. Avery Frost, Dave Paul. Council President Hardin and Mayor Ginther are appointing the 5th member and chair of the CRDC, Mr. Malik Moore. All 5 of these candidates are uniquely skilled and qualified to serve on this commission and will serve the city over the next year to hold community meetings, gather public input, and finally present 3 maps to Columbus City Council. We realized early that the 15 finalists were all outstanding candidates for this commission, and recognize the scope of this work is grand. Because of this, we are inviting the other 10 finalists to serve as districting ambassadors to assist the commission in engaging as much of the community as possible in this process. The CRDC will begin work in early March. As they start this process, please keep engaged with us, as there will be many opportunities for residents to learn, give feedback, and take ownership in our transition to council districts in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you to everyone who applied for the commission, all of the work done by city staff to get us to this point, and thank you in advance to the five-member council residential districting commission for the work you will do for this city in 2021. If you have any questions about the process or want to learn more, you can visit www.columbus.gov/districtingcommission or email crdc@columbus.gov. Before I begin the legislation, I want to note that I will be going a bit out of order this evening so that the chair of the commission is the final appointment. First, I have ordinance number A0023-2021, the appointment of J. Avery Frost to serve on the Council Residential Districting Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2021, or upon the adoption by council of a districting plan, whichever comes first. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, I have ordinance A0025-2021, the appointment of Dave Paul to serve on the Council Residential Districting Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2021, or upon the adoption by council of a districting plan, whichever comes first.
These are approved.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Approved.
Next, I have ordinance A0026-2021, the appointment of Jeff Cabot to serve on the Council Residential Districting Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2021, or upon the adoption by council of a districting plan, whichever comes first. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Approved.
Next, I have ordinance number A0027-2021, the appointment of Monica Sarazuela to serve on the Council Residential Districting Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2021, or upon the adoption of council of a districting plan, whichever comes first. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Approved.
And finally, I have the chair, who's appointed by the mayor and council president, and that's ordinance A0024-2021, the appointment of Malik Moore to serve on the Council Residential Districting Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2021, or upon the adoption by council of a districting plan, whichever comes first. Again, Malik Moore will serve as chair of the commission. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Yes, Council President Harden.
Thank you, Chair Remy. I'll just take this moment to thank you and your team, as well as Nia Walters on our Legislative Research Office, for working diligently over the last several months to have hearings and pull this extremely diverse and qualified group together to help us scope out how we move forward, how we grow, and how we continue to serve this city of Columbus. This is a journey that we all are going to take together. Change is never easy, but we believe that this is a step in the right direction to make us more connected and bring the geographic diversity to this council that is needed. So just thank you for your leadership and look forward to the process that is ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. I echo those thanks and thank my colleagues for all their input as we took 123 applicants out of this process, narrowed it down to 15, and had really 15 outstanding candidates to choose from. Certainly look forward to their further engagement and having a robust discussion as we move forward in 2021. If there are no further questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Approved.
Thank you once again, Council President Harden. That's all I had this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Health and Human Services. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The first ordinance is 174-2021. It is to authorize the Board of Health to enter into initial contracts with the qualified vendors, modify those contracts with portions of previously appropriated and encumbered funds are unused, and reallocate unused funds by entering into contracts with the newly identified qualified vendors without the need for additional legislation for the Ryan White Part A HIV Care Grant Program for the provision of services allowable under the grant for persons with HIV or AIDS in Central Ohio, to authorize expenditure of $3,084,625 from the Health Department Grants Fund to pay the cost thereof, to waive competitive bidding of the Columbus C Code 329, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance, again, authorizes the Board of Health to enter into, and if needed, modify contract with the following vendors for HIV-related somatic and outpatient ambulatory medical care, early intervention services, medical and non-medical case management services, medical transportation, mental health services, housing services, emergency financial assistance, and any other service allowable under this grant. The individuals receiving funds will be the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Equitas Health, the Research Institute of Nationwide Children's Hospital, the Ohio State University Department of Internal Medicine, Ohio State University Hospital, for a total of $3,084,625. In addition, this ordinance, there are several ordinances on the consent agenda that will provide services for individuals with HIV and AIDS and prevention-related services for others. And legislation has been on for Equitas Health to provide education and risk reduction services, AIDS Healthcare Foundation to do for HIV testing and screening services to persons at the highest risk of HIV infection, and Knopf, Watson, and Wallen Incorporated to provide advertising services for an HIV outreach targeted marketing campaign. And there was an additional modification of an existing contract with the Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency for the provision of HOPA funds. There was a modification also with Licking County Coalition for Housing and for $94,000. So if there are no other questions or comments, I would move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is to direct the Board of Health to accept a grant from the Ohio Commission on Minority Health for the amount of $7,500 for the Minority Health Month events, to authorize the appropriation of $7,500 from the unappropriated balance for the Health Department Grants Fund. And the Columbus Public Health organized 9 minority health initiatives in 2020, and Minority Health Month activities directly served 3,465 community members and provided COVID-19 messaging and addressed disparities among minority populations in Columbus, providing COVID-19 information. The billboard advertising campaign reaches 150,000 residents, raising awareness for minority health initiatives. And the Minority Health Month goals of the Minority Health Month are to provide crucial information to allow individuals to practice disease prevention, promote healthy lifestyles, showcase resources for health care and information, and highlight desperate health conditions between Ohio's minority and non-minority populations. If you want any information regarding the efforts on Columbus Public Health's efforts to improve minority health, you can contact Ryan Johnson at Columbus Public Health. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 335-2021 is to authorize and direct the Board of Health to enter into a contract with Columbus Neighborhood Health Center Incorporated, doing business as Primary One Health, to provide primary health care and dental services at community-based health centers, to authorize the expenditure of $4,299,110 from the Health Special Revenue Fund, and to waive competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. Since 1974, Columbus Public Health provided primary health care services to the underserved through contracts with community-based health centers. And since 1998, Columbus Public Health has contracted with Columbus Neighborhood Health Center Incorporated for a not-for-profit to provide primary health care services to medically indigent patients at various neighborhood health centers. This ordinance authorized the Board of Health to enter into a contract with Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers Incorporated, doing business at Primary One, to provide health care and dental service to community-based centers. And before I move for adoption, I know that Charlita Tavares, the Chief Executive Officer of Primary One, I think her board chair, Jacqueline Downey, would like to make some comments regarding this legislation.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden and Chair Tyson and members of Columbus City Council. I'm here as Primary One Health CEO, but I have my board chair, Jacqueline Downey, here to thank you for your support and partnership over the last 47 years and to support Ordinance 0335-2021. As you know, we are a federally qualified healthcare system in Franklin County that has served as your primary healthcare delivery system since 1974 and since 1997 as Columbus Neighborhood Health Center, Inc., and now since 2015 as Primary One Health. Although our name has changed, our focus has not. We serve the most vulnerable residents in our community, including individuals and families who are homeless, without insurance, immigrants and refugees, and others experiencing financial, social, or cultural barriers to health care. We are proud of our partnership and efforts to serve your constituents in Columbus. Your financial support enables us to serve over 10,700 people who cannot afford their co-pays and service fees, residents who are struggling even before COVID-19, the pandemic that hit us in 2020. As the oldest and largest FQHC in Central Ohio, we are proud of our history together and look forward to working with you and the administration to expand healthcare and services in 2021 and beyond. These dollars support our efforts to address the needs of those without resources. However, the pandemic has increased the numbers of individuals who are without health insurance and who will go without care. On behalf of Primary One Health, we want to thank you for your commitment to providing funding for healthcare. You are among a very small number of cities in America who have made this commitment to healthcare. I also want to remind our residents in Columbus and throughout Ohio that we are available with our certified application counselors to assist them in signing up for insurance during the special open enrollment for the market exchange and Medicaid. This open enrollment goes from now, it started on February 15th through May 15th of 2020. Residents can call 614-620-8088 or visit our website at primaryonehealth.org, where they can be assisted in navigating and signing up for health insurance. And now my board chair, Jackie Downey, if you have anything you want to share.
Forgot to unmute myself. Thank you, Chairman Tyson. And Primary One Health was designed to be the city's health department. We are your health department. We serve your constituents, and not all of them are underserved from the community. I want to say thank you, and I want to say that we depend upon your support. This year, we would not have been able to go forward. With COVID-19, our staff has worked tirelessly to not only test, but we are now getting vaccines. So I want to say thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to our representing the city of Columbus and our relationship as we go further. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, President CEO Tavares, as well as your chairman of your board, Ms. Jacqueline Downey. Thank you for being here and sharing your comments with us this evening. I also want to thank the administration and Dr. Roberts for certainly putting the dollars, making sure that the almost $4.3 million remained in this budget to support the work of primary one health, to be able to continue to provide services, medical and dental services to our residents in Columbus. And again, this is for residents that are uninsured, underinsured, but also individuals who have insurance, that you are providing resources to residents in our community. And so again, especially during this time, this pandemic, and we also recognize the fact that, a lot of individuals who think about minority health just don't feel they have access to care, but we do. We have access to care through the work of this relationship and the work that is being done at Primary One Health. So thank you so much for being here and doing the work in our communities to improve the lives of our residents. If there are no, excuse me, are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Thank you, Senator Tavares and Ms. Jacqueline, for your work that you do each day in keeping our community safe. We are grateful for the role that Primary One plays, and thank you to Chair Tyson for her advocacy. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Hart.
Passed.
Thank you so much. The next ordinance is ordinance number 339-2021, and it is to authorize the Board of Health to enter into a contract with the Saunders Group and/or to modify and extend to increase existing contracts with the Ohio Expositions Commission, the OSU Hospitals, OSU College of Public Health, Net Steady Communications, and Emocha Mobile Health for continued COVID-19 media campaigns, contract tracing, testing, and vaccination services, to authorize expenditure of $717,559 services from the Health Department's Grants Fund for said contracts, and to waive the competitive bidding requirements of Columbus City Code and to declare an emergency. I do believe that Ms. Krause is going to make some comments on this legislation. Tiffany?
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. The purpose of this legislation is to authorize the Board of Health to enter or modify, extend, or increase the following contracts for continued COVID-19 media campaigns, contact tracing, testing, and vaccination services. The Saunders Group leverage existing media relations to garner earned media opportunities across Central Ohio. Saunders will develop story ideas and pitching strategies in the partnership with the Columbus Partnership, Columbus Public Health, the Mayor's Office, the healthcare systems, and partner agencies to educate the community about the safety of vaccine, share information about how, where, and when people will get the shots, elevate key milestones, highlight key influencers, as well as ongoing story ideas about the importance of safety of taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Those that are outlined in the state of Ohio guidance for COVID-19 vaccine will be able to register and receive the vaccine as supply allows. Currently, we have the capacity to vaccinate 1,500 plus a day, and we will be operating a point of dispensing at the Ohio State Fairgrounds Celeste Building.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cross. And I also want to again I'm excited to see the Saunders group is now added to this contract, because I think, again, because we want to make sure that we are making sure that we are marketing to some of our populations that may have had some reluctance or don't know where to get the vaccine, that the Saunders group will help us to make sure that we're reaching some of our other populations, and our Saunders company will help us to make sure that we are reaching out to residents in our community to, again, let them know that we have vaccine, and also to share information regarding either the myths versus facts regarding the vaccine. So if there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And the final ordinance in my committee this evening is Ordinance 395. It's to authorize the Executive Director of Celebrate One on behalf of the Office of the Mayor to enter into a contract with the Center for Healthy Families to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,352,000 of emergency rental assistance funds to provide rental, utility, and other housing-related assistance to eligible families experiencing housing instability, which have been shown to impact maternal and child health outcomes, and to declare an emergency. I'm going to ask Director Stapleton to provide information regarding this particular ordinance, and also she can speak to that we've also earlier in this meeting on the consent agenda, we have also provided other dollars for the community. Ms. Stapleton, Director Stapleton, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me correctly?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair Tyson, and thank you for an opportunity to speak to these critical dollars that are needed in our community for pregnant and parenting families. The specific legislation that we're talking about today is going for the Center for Healthy Families to, who serves really as a centralized hub for pregnant and parenting families. But in addition to the ERA dollars that you heard Director Stevens and Mr. Chilton speak of, there are additional dollars from the Ohio Department of Health that will go specifically for pregnant and parenting teens, 14 to 24, who find themselves in further perilous conditions because of the pandemic and the economic issues that people are facing. And so 880,000 is ERA, 472,000 is from ODH, all for the purpose of segmenting out pregnant and parenting families. So to give you some context, on any given day or any given year in Columbus, we have 300 women who find themselves pregnant and homeless. And so these dollars will go a long way to serving approximately 60 families with the ERA dollars, and a good number beyond that with specifically looking for 14 to 24-year-olds. And so we are grateful for your support, and we are grateful to continue to work with an organization like the Center for Healthy Families that targets young people and builds their self-sufficiency. You know that they deal with well-being and positive networks and employment and all the other social determinants of health, but housing is absolutely key for this population. And so we're happy that we're able to provide some of our key partners that had a backlog and a need to fill an opportunity to serve pregnant and parenting families. In addition to Center for Healthy Families, we are providing assistance to Physicians Care Connection, the Homeless Families Foundation, and HNHF Realty Collaborative, which is a partnership between Nationwide Children's Hospital and the Community Development for All People. All total, the ERA dollars will serve approximately 200 families. And we are blessed to help these young folks and help these organizations fill their backlog, because there is a huge need for pregnant and parenting families.
Okay. Thank you, Director Stapleton, and thank you for your leadership. And again, provide housing for rent, utilities, and other housing-related needs. If there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to certainly move for passage. And I will also share that as we know that the Center for Healthy Families and the clients that they care for is a significant amount of African-American young women. And we heard from those young women from the Commission on Black Girls report study. And I'm very happy that the Center for Healthy Families, working alongside Celebrate One, are able to help move our young ladies forward. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I'm going to move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committee this evening.
Final committee to come before council is the Rules and Reference Committee. That committee is chaired by me. The first, I guess the last piece of legislation in this committee is 0280-2021. It's to amend section 111.04 of the Columbus City Code relating to the standing committees of council and to declare an emergency. This ordinance adds a new committee on council, the Building and Zoning Policy Committee. This committee will be chaired by Councilmember Tyson and 3 other members. It is important to note that it is distinct from the Zoning Committee. While the Zoning Committee meets on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. to consider specific zoning and land use cases, this new committee will be tasked with the policy and governance structures that impact zoning, building in Columbus. This committee will oversee all contracts related to the zoning review and reform efforts that are currently underway. Considering Columbus's housing challenges and how land use and the built environment impact Columbus families, now is the time to elevate these conversations. I'm excited for this new committee to get to work. Are there any comments by my colleagues?
President Harden, thank you so much for this committee and starting for all the work that you just mentioned that this committee will be responsible for. And also, I don't know if Director Messer is still on the call, but I know that he, I'm sure, is very pleased that we have this committee that will be able to showcase the amazing work that they're doing.
Yes, Councilmember Tyson, this is Director Messer. Thanks for mentioning that. I'm very excited for this committee. I think with the work that we have, it's been mentioned a couple times tonight with the zoning review, we intend to have changes, major changes in policy and other things in the zoning code. So I'm excited that this committee is coming into existence and going to be my pleasure to work with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, President Harden.
Are there any other comments or questions about the new committee? Seeing that, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Ordinance is passed. The committee is established. Seeing no further business to come before council, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have 2 speakers.